Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Slayer back here again with another video. My apologies for not already having this video up. I attempted to film this video a couple days ago several times with absolutely no success, and I've also been very busy. This morning I went to an AA meeting. Now I'm over at my mom's place watching her little Shih Tzus for her, and I figured, hey, this is a great time to come on out here and talk to you guys for a minute. A couple days ago I hit 50 days since my last drink. Which I have to thank each and every single one of you guys, because you guys really are a huge part of this whole sober journey, this channel, this community. I mean, it helps me more than you guys know. I appreciate you. It's just an awesome, beautiful thing. And it also goes to show you this isn't the very first time that I've had 50 days sober. It shows that no matter how many times that you've fallen, you can always try again. You can always pick yourself up and try again, but you really have to want it. And I've proven that to myself. I'm no expert. I have no degree in addiction counseling or nothing. I'm not a therapist. I have no expertise at all. The only expertise that I have is being a full-blown drunk. And I get on here and I share what I know from being in the disease. That's it, guys. But what I've proven to myself time and time again is if you really don't want to stay sober, it's just never going to happen. It doesn't matter how many AA meetings you go to. It doesn't matter how many rehabs, therapists, self-help gurus that you find out there. You're going to end up going back to the bottle. You've got to want it. You've got to want it for yourself. You can't do it for anybody else except for you. And with that said, man, just try again. Just keep trying, but don't fool yourself. If you're not ready to get sober, that's something that you have to ask yourself deep down inside. And I hope that you are, because that path is, I've proven to myself, and I'm sure many of you have out there as well. It's a path to nowhere, a grave, a jail cell, homelessness, destruction. So with that said, let's go ahead and talk about a little bit of destruction. Yeah. The reason why I was thinking about this story that I'm going to be telling you guys, which is a very early on binge, one of the very first binges I ever remember having. I'm sure I had more before this, but this is just one of the ones that stick out to me. And the reason is because my birthday is coming up. It's a few weeks away, and I was thinking about when I turned 21, way back some years ago when I turned 21, and how the gates of hell opened up. I mean, my drinking took on a whole entire new beast. It took on a life of its own. It all went downhill after I turned 21, because I no longer needed someone to purchase booze for me, which is usually my older brother, who also suffered and suffers from alcoholism. I was a full-blown alcoholic by the time I was 20. I was drinking heavy at 19, and I was even drinking heavy at 18. But once I turned 21, I could purchase it whenever I wanted to, which was every single day. I remember when I turned 21, I went out to this restaurant. This is where the binge starts. Immediately right after I turned 21, off to the races. And drinking was not the same as it is nowadays. It was still fun. I was still enjoying myself. There wasn't too many consequences. There was car crashes before this and all sorts of nonsense, but it really hadn't spiraled out of control. But it quickly did after I turned 21. I remember I went to a restaurant with my ex-girlfriend, and I was just ordering one drink after the next, and I mean big ones. It was the Long Island iced teas, and I don't miss any of this at all, guys. It's so beautiful to be sober today and enjoying nature and enjoy talking to you guys, level-headed and clear-minded. It's a beautiful thing. I don't miss any of this, and I'm not glorifying it. I tell these stories to remind myself why I'm not going back, and to remind you guys on why you're not going back as well. It's kind of like me sharing my life story. But anyways, I was drinking Long Island iced teas, which are strong, and I was having one after the next, and I proceeded to get completely and utterly wasted. I stood up, I was stepping sideways, all my words were gibberish. I could not string a sentence together. I remember my ex-girlfriend had to help me out to the vehicle. She put me in the passenger seat and took my drunk ass home. And again, during this time, I was really lost. I didn't have that connection with God like I do now. I was a spiritual person, but my spirituality, I was an agnostic. I was into smoking weed 24/7 and doing mushrooms and stuff and all that type of stuff. And all that quickly died out once alcohol came into the picture. But I didn't have any real moral compass to myself. I mean, I had morals, but it's like I said, once I turned 21, it's like I discovered what I wanted to do. The first time that I got drunk, in my head, I wanted to stay that way for the rest of my life. That anxiety, that warm feeling that I felt inside of my stomach, how it comforted me. I just wanted to stay that way. Of course, it's all an illusion. That's how the beginning is. It's nothing but fun and games, and then it turns on us. It's a trap. It's like the old cartoon with the candy leading, like Tom and Jerry. You're eating a bunch of pieces of candy, and next thing you know, a trap falls over you and you're in a cage. It was all a deception. That's very much what early alcoholism is. And anyways, I don't even know why I was saying that, but let's continue with the story. So she helps me out to the car. I'm wasted. She takes me home and I pass out. I wake up the next day and almost with no hesitation. I remember I got up, I went and took a shower. I had work the very next day, so I ended up going to work, and I didn't go and get alcohol immediately. I went to work, and at the particular job that I worked at, there was a wine and spirits. So I wandered over there on my break and ended up purchasing alcohol. I was already experiencing probably slight withdrawals at 21. Just turned 21, and I was already experiencing withdrawals because on my 21st birthday, when we all went out and celebrated my 21st birthday, which is a whole entire story in and of itself, we were supposed to drive to Colorado, and this place in Colorado, I should say, Breckenridge. We were supposed to go to Breckenridge in Colorado and all hang out and have this great time for my birthday, and the reason that we couldn't go was because I was withdrawing so bad. I was having horrible anxiety, so I just canceled it. We ended up having a crazy time in the town that we were actually in, but we never went to Breckenridge. So by the time I was 21, I was already experiencing alcohol withdrawal. And so I ended up sneaking over to this wine and spirits in the place that I work at, which ultimately I end up getting fired for doing this months down the road. But I sneak over there, I purchase some alcohol, I go to my car, and I take a few shots, and boom, all of a sudden I'm back to normal again. I run inside, I'm talking to everybody, and it gave me a little bit too much confidence. I had a couple more hours and I felt great. It started to wear off. My buzz started to wear off a little bit. And it's like I said, guys, once I turned 21, it was like I had no chain on me. I mean, it was dangerous. It really was. I got in my car, I drove immediately to the liquor store and bought I don't even know, probably 6 or 7 of the double shots of the 100 proof whiskey. Went home and just started drinking. I got hammered, and that night my cousin ends up calling me and he's like, yo, what's up, man? You just turned 21, dude. We got to go drink, because there's this whole entire thing with us that we think we have to go drink when we turn 21. It's a tradition or whatever. Well, I think we need to completely get rid of that. I mean, I've read stories of people turning 21, getting into an accident while they're intoxicated and killing somebody and going to prison. Could you imagine that? You just turned 21. You're now legal age to be able to drink, and your party, your celebration ends in you in a jail cell. I mean, we really need to get rid of the whole entire you need to drink when you turn of age thing. But my cousin calls me up and, yo, man, basically just, yo, man, do you want to just go get in even more trouble and go mess up things even more in our life? I mean, he didn't say that, but that's basically what he said. And of course, because I was just a full-blown alcoholic at the time, I said, heck yeah, that's exactly what I want to go do. Keep in mind, I'm already hammered. So he comes and picks me up, and we go off to these bars. I'm drinking. This is when I was still smoking cigarettes, so I'm out there drinking heavily, and smoking my cigarette, and there's this guy who is staring at me while I'm in the bar, and I'm smoking my cigarette and looking over at him and then kind of looking away, smoking my cigarette, looking over at him. He just keeps staring at me. I'm like, who the fuck is this dude? Does this dude have a problem? So I walk over to him with my cigarette all stumbling around. Yo, man, you got a problem, dude? Because, when we're drinking, we think that we're titanium. We think that we're Superman and we can beat anybody up and we're the toughest guy on earth. It's nonsense. So I walk over there. Yo, man, you got a problem? And he's like, yo, man, I'm your neighbor. It was my neighbor, and I was so intoxicated that I didn't even recognize him. I was like, oh shit, man, that is you, man. What's up, man? I gave him a hug. I didn't hardly ever even talk to this guy. I mean, a few times, and now he's my best friend. It went from I want to fight you to you're my best friend. That's alcohol for you. So I'm hugging on him. I'm like, yo, what's up, man? I mean, I barely ever talked to you in my life, but here we are. Now I'm hugging up on you. This isn't strange at all. I mean, these are things that I just don't miss about alcohol, guys. I just don't. That false, love that we all show each other. Then you wake up the next day and you block that person's number and never speak to him again. I mean, it's a joke. And so I'm hugging on him, almost get into a fist fight over nothing with my neighbor because I'm heavily intoxicated. I end up smoking my cigarette, going back to my cousin, order a couple more drinks, and we dip. We end up going over to a bar that is extremely close to where I was staying at, and walking distance. So we're there, we go inside, he pulls up, we go inside, and we continue to order drinks. Now, the guy comes over, and we are like, yo, man, can we get another round? And the guy cuts us off. He realizes now even my cousin is extremely intoxicated, and he's like, no more for you guys. I'm ending this right now. My cousin's like, oh, come on, man. And I'm like, seriously, dude, I'm not even that intoxicated, man. As I'm falling over the table, you know what I'm saying? And speaking of falling over the table, the waiter ends up walking off. My cousin stands up. He proceeds to fall onto the table. And so all this nonsense is going on. This is what comes with drinking, guys. Chaos, stupidity. Right away when I turned 21, I was right into the chaos and stupidity, and the waiters are coming over and saying, yo, guys, you guys need to leave. We're going to call the police. Okay, I hear the word police. Bye. I'm out the door we go. At least we were smart enough to realize that both of us were too intoxicated to drive, so we did end up walking back home. I passed out, wake up feeling like death, feeling like I was ran over by a semi. Just like a gorilla beat me up or something, man. Just awful. And the first thing, again, that's on my mind is liquor. And when I remember I woke up and I kind of looked around and I looked over, and my cousin was passed out on my floor, like 10 feet away from the bed, just passed out. And I reached in my pockets and I felt a double shot of, it wasn't SoCo, it was actually vodka that I had. And I mean, immediately, guys, immediately waking up and drinking. I remember I woke up and I drank that right away. No water, no eggs and bacon. My breakfast was liquor. And I drank that, and I remember running over. But there was still a level of control, like I've said to you guys before. I don't know if I've just done such brain damage or my tolerance. I don't know what it is. But there's no level of control now, and it's so dangerous. But I ended up drinking it. And I go over, I wake up my cousin, I get him up, and I'm like, yo, man, we should go and do the same thing we were doing yesterday. I don't have to work today. You don't have to work today. Why not? He's a normal person. He's not an alcoholic. So he was like, no, dude, I'm hungover. I want to drink water and stuff. And me wanting to hide it, being embarrassed, I was just like, oh, yeah, me too, man. Yeah, we should probably go get some water, right? And I was just eager for him to go out the door so I could just go get more alcohol, and that's exactly what I did. I was on a binge. I was in non-stop drunk mode. So I went, purchased more booze, came back, continued to drink and get heavily intoxicated and pass out. The next day I wake up and my ex-girlfriend had this bottle of tequila. And I was running low on money. So like the little scumbag that I was and am in active addiction, I did the old trick of, I got up, checked my bank account. I was like, damn, it's payday in a few days. I'm broke. I don't know what to do. Well, I do know that my ex has that tequila that's just been sitting there. She was never really a drinker. Well, maybe I could drink that. And so I took it and I poured a whole bunch of it, probably about this much of it, into a cup. And again, this is probably 10 a.m. in the morning. And this is the next day. And I pour it into the cup. And I have to work on this day, by the way, too, guys. And I go over with the tequila bottle and I put it under the sink and I filled it back up with water. Have you guys ever done that trick? Yeah, I filled it back up with water so it just looked like nothing was ever touched. And I set it back and I proceeded to drink. Well, that wasn't good enough. I ended up going back to it, cracking it open again, pouring more of it into the cup, and then filling it up even more with water. So most of it was just water at this point. Taking a big cup with me to work, and I proceeded to go to work and get completely wasted at work. Just not caring. Just thinking that this is what I'm gonna do from now on. I like to drink. This is what I'm gonna do. The early signs. I mean, I was a full-blown chronic alcoholic by the time I was 21, guys. I mean, that's scary to think about. And I proceeded to go to work and get hammered. And I came back, and a few days went by of me just continuing this process of drinking every single day and going to work here and there. And I ended up showing up to work one of the days, and I left like halfway through my shift. And I remember as I was leaving, the manager was all worried about me. He talked to me, and I think that he knew something was up. And he kind of warned me. He said, dude, like, I don't know what's going on, but you need to get your act together, and you've been acting bizarre. It's because I was intoxicated. I was heavily intoxicated at work every single shift. And we think that we're fooling people. We're not fooling anybody but ourselves. And I remember he told me, he was like, just go and get your act together, or seriously, we're going to have a serious talking to. So already my job is getting threatened. It ended up getting back to the weekend again, and I went back and I proceeded to drink. It's the weekend. I'm going to get even more hammered. So it's probably been like a week and a half at this point, something like this, that I've been drinking every single day. Now my ex is no longer putting up with it. My ex put up with my alcoholism for a long time, and we would get into little fights like this, but it would never really result into much of anything. She would just kind of let it go, and that would be the end of it. We'd move on. But she ended up figuring out that I poured out the tequila and replaced it with water, and she was pissed, and she was screaming at me, and she was angry that I was drunk too. I was out of my mind for almost 2 weeks straight. This is all that I've cared about now that I've turned 21, is getting absolutely obliterated. And that's because of trauma and pain and different things from my past that one of these days we're going to have to get into, guys. I'm going to have to make like the life story of Slayer and tell you guys why I think I became the way that I did. And so we get into a giant argument, all this unneeded drama and fights that could have been completely avoided if I would have just not drank. I mean, that's the thing, guys. All of this could have been avoided if I just didn't drink. But I was young, I was naive, I was ignorant, I didn't know anything. I hadn't really seen the true consequences yet, so I just didn't really care. All I cared about was getting drunk, and I knew that when I didn't drink, I felt like crap. So, and it literally was probably 6 months after this that I entered like alcoholic hallucinosis type of withdrawal, where I was getting like slight delirium tremens and hallucinations, and my withdrawal just took on a whole entire, just went to the next level. But we get into a giant argument. She's screaming at me, I'm angry with her, and we're going back and forth, and this whole entire blowout. Well, of course, I leave, and my solution to that is to drink even more. So I drink, and I just continued down this path over and over again. And I remember it eventually did come to a bad stop. I woke up one day, and I just started projectile vomiting. And again, I just thought that this was just, a hangover maybe, or whatever the case might be, and I was projectile vomiting and throwing up. I was seriously sick, and I ended up getting into a giant fight with not only my ex-girlfriend but also my parents, and it ended in a total blowout where I ended up packing a backpack and leaving. I left. I left my ex. I didn't say anything to my parents. I didn't say anything to anybody. I just packed enough clothes to leave, and I ended up going on my way. Well, having nowhere to stay, the weather being pretty crappy, and feeling like I was gonna die, I proceeded to experience alcohol withdrawal, which I don't know how dangerous it was. It was probably pretty dangerous even at this time, because I remember I was getting muscle spasms and I was getting the sweats, and I'm out here doing this on a bench at a park in the middle of nowhere. It's 3 a.m. and I'm all alone going through alcohol withdrawal, feeling like absolute death, feeling like I'm gonna die, shaking. No hallucinations or nothing like that. That had not come yet. And I remember laying on that bench, 3 a.m. I had no music playing, no alcohol, going through withdrawal, and just thinking like, maybe alcohol isn't the way to go. Like, I was already having thoughts and of maybe I should stop this. And just like, what am I doing with my life? And I remember being very, very depressed. And I had missed work a day, and so my boss ended up calling me, and I was really respected at this job. Like, the people, I knew them really well, but they were not happy about that. I ended up missing work, and eventually I ended up breaking down and coming back and apologizing to my ex. And I stayed sober for maybe a day or two and just went right back to drinking again. And it didn't get as intense as that right away. But that was one of my very first binges. I did stop for a little bit, a few days, and kind of just went back to drinking again a few days later, but didn't let it get to that point. And eventually it did, of course, again. It picked up right where I left off. A couple months later, it got even worse, and it proceeded to get worse and worse and worse. And I just think back at that time, guys, when I turned 21, all these years later, and laying on that bench and thinking to myself what it would have been like if I would have just stopped then. And that's what I want you guys to ask yourselves right now. If you're somewhere, wherever you are, in your sobriety or in your journey with addiction, is how much worse is it gonna get? Because if I would have just stopped right then and there, I had no idea what was waiting for me down the road. The lost relationships, the loss of myself, losing literally who I was, who I used to be. And I'm still trying to find that today, guys. That's something that I still haven't 100% gotten back. Alcohol stole my soul from me. It took my life from me. And if I would have just stopped then and really just taken it seriously when I had those first thoughts of like, maybe this is out of control. Maybe I should go get some help. Maybe I shouldn't drink anymore. And I never did. I proceeded to drink for close to 10 years, not quite, but close to 10 years after that. I mean, like 6 or 7 years. And it's just, it's insane, guys. A decade of my life has been dedicated to alcohol, and it very much, such a waste. And that does become our God. Even if you're even if you're an atheist and you don't believe in God, that booze becomes our God because we give up every single thing for it. And that's what I did for about a decade. I've just given everything up for it. And over these last couple years, I really have tried to get sober, and you guys have seen a lot of my falls. And I'm just thankful that I'm here today and I have the opportunity to still get sober, and I didn't die. And that's what I was saying at the beginning of the video. If you still have breath, it's not too late. You can still try and get sober. You can do it. We can do it together, man. This is a journey we can do together. And I think back at that time, man, if I would have just stopped. So please, if you're sitting there and you're debating, should I get sober? Should I not? Do it. Because you don't want to be in my position one day where you look back at those times and you think, man, I should have done it then. So much pain and sorrow would have been avoided if I would have just listened to that higher power, that God, the God voice that we all have in our head telling me to do the right thing. But no, I listened to the devil. I went my own damn dumb way, and all that ended in was disappointment. I felt defected. And once I realized I had a problem with alcohol, it was too late. I was already wrapped way too deep into it. At least that's what I thought. I say that, but here I am. It's been 52 days since my last drink. It's never too late to get sober. And I don't want to experience another one of those binges. And the only way to do that is to do the things that I know I need to do to stay sober. And one of those things is to get on here and talk to you guys. So with that said, I'm very sorry that I haven't been around, guys. I'll make sure to get more videos up soon, and really ask yourself that question. Do you want to keep going down that road? Do we want to keep going down that road? Because there's nothing down that road. There's two paths in life. There's the dark path and the light path. And it is our choice. It is our choice which one we want to choose. And with that said, guys, I love all of you. I'm very grateful to be sober today. I'm grateful for all of you. Thank you, God, for another day. And please stay safe, stay sober. If you feel like you're going to drink, reach out. You have a community here. I love all of you. I hope that somebody got something out of this little story today. It shows that my alcoholism started from the very beginning. It was always there. With that said, guys, I love you. I'll see you all real soon.